Well, Joby, I think I'm figuring out the fish. I'm trying to get this figured out. The only thing is that my mouse is not... I'm remoting into the computer, which is actually physically in the next room.
Mm-hmm.
And so the mouse interactions are not... See what it's doing?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if I can do that, I can click on the box, but it's not letting me expand it. Why don't you... I'm going to run into the next room.
Okay.
You can start talking about your tournament.
All right. All right. Well, while Gene is doing that, we did have our Stamford Lake tournament this weekend. And it was a team tournament. We ended up having 5 teams being able to fish. And the results came in like this. Lee Johnson and Chris Fuentes won the tournament with 17.7 pounds. David and Lisa Rutherford had 17.0 pounds, so tight race there at the top. And then the next 3 was David Watkins and Jed Singletary. They had 9.9 pounds. Mark Williver and Terry Tidwell with 9.8. And Jerry and myself, Jerry and Joby Houghtaling, 8.9. So you can see kind of 2 different bunches there. The top 2 teams, both with 17 pounds. And, of course, Lee and Chris with 17.7 winning the tournament. And then the other 3 teams all within a pound of each other. And, in fact, David and Jed edged out Mark and Terry by 0.1, so a tenth of a pound for third place. So it was a good tournament. It was the first time we have fished that lake as a club. And is a little bit different than some of the other lakes we fish. We talked about it a little bit last week, didn't have quite as much of the rock and things that we normally fish, but it did have them. But it did have a lot of cattails, a lot of shorelines that were, well, actually, I think it was different than normal because it was really flooded. So being my first time at the lake, I don't know what the shoreline normally looks like, but the shorelines were flooded. So a lot of trees and grass was actually in water that I believe normally is not in the water. So it was a different lake to those that normally fish it. To us, it was the first time that most of us had seen it. It's a good lake. My dad and I didn't have a very good tournament, but we just didn't find them. But like I said, the bottom 3, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place, we were all within a pound of each other. So you could say that we just didn't find them, as well as Lee and Chris and David and Lisa. But overall, a good tournament, and that was our I'm going to tell you because I've been promising, and now I have it. That was our 4th tournament of the year.
Okay.
And we should have had 5, but and I'm trying to find it on my... There it is. Okay. We should have had 5, but we ended up having to cancel our very first tournament of the year back in February because Amstead, that's the week that Texas went dark.
Right.
The heavy snows and everything, even, the entire state was under. So the club so far this year, we didn't fish in February at Amstead, but we fished Hubbard Creek in March, Fort Phantom Hill in April. We fished Conscious last month in May, and we fished Stamford Lake this weekend in Texas. So that was our June tournament. And right now, overall, we've had 10 boaters and 10 non-boaters so far this year. At least one tournament. And David Watkins is leading the way as for the Angler of the Year. He has a total of 1,194 points. Right behind him is Mark Williver with 1192. And then it drops a little bit from there. I'm in 3rd with 1187. David Rutherford is in 4th. Jerry Houghtaling in 5th. Lee Johnson is in 6th. Mike Hill, Jeremy Fuentes, Landon Denton, and Jeff Yahtzee round out the top 10. And on the non-boater side, Lisa Rutherford is leading with 1,180 points. And only 1 point behind her is Terry Tidwell with 1179. And then Jed Singletary. The rest of the anglers on the co-angler side missed at least one tournament, so there's a pretty big drop-off in points. But Jed Singletary is sitting in 3rd, Andrew Houghtaling in 4th, Uriel Marcus in 5th, Chris Fuentes in 6th, Jeff Houghtaling in 7th, Vincent DeHoyas in 8th, Samantha Bailey in 9th, and Chandler Yahtzee in 10th. So we've had a pretty good year this year. It's down a little. Last year, with the COVID and the shortened season, a lot of our anglers from the year before ended up not fishing at all. And this year kind of started off that way. So we've had 20 anglers so far in any one of our tournaments, and that's where we're sitting. So David Watkins leading on the Angler of the Year, and Lisa Rutherford leading on the Co-Angler of the Year, but tied at the top. Only 2 points separates the anglers, Mark and David. And then on the non-boaters or the co-anglers, Lisa Rutherford and Terry Tidwell just separated by 1 point. We have 3 tournaments remaining that are on our schedule. They could change. So, I mean, we make changes if we need to, depending on various things. But Fort Phantom Hill in July, the 24th and 25th. Hubbard Creek in August is scheduled for August 21st and 22nd. And then we're scheduled to go back to Stamford in September 25th and 26th. And then in October, we have our championship in the top 10. Hopefully, we may have other anglers join in between now and then, but I'm hoping that we have a full field for our championship, which is tough to do for a small club just because of dates and people have other things going on and whatnot. But right now we have 10 of each that theoretically, right now they're all qualified to fish in the championship in October. And so if they all can make it and we don't have any other changes, all of these 20 anglers will be fishing. So that's where we stand right now, and you were able to get the pictures?
Yes. So if
run through those right
hit
quick.
the button there, there's our first picture.
So Mark, that's Terry Tidwell on the left, if you're looking at your screen, and Mark Williver on the right, and that was their day one fish. They had 4 fish and a nice bag.
Okay.
And then that is Chris Fuentes on the left and Lee Johnson on the right. They had a full fish, 5-fish limit on day one, and they were leading after day one, and they ended up winning overall.
Okay.
That's Jed Singletary on the left and David Watkins on the right. And they were like Dad and I. They caught 2 fish each day, keepers, but you can see they were really nice ones. That's day one for David and Jed.
Okay.
And that's Lisa and David Rutherford, and married couple, obviously. And they caught a limit on day one, and that was their 5 fish. Good bag. And they ended up coming in second overall in the team tournament.
Okay.
And that's Dad and I wore my shirt again today for the show here, but that was my jersey I wore on day one. That was our 2 on day one.
Okay. Pretty good looking fish there.
Yeah, they were healthy, good fish.
Yep.
That's David on the left and Jed on the right. Their 2 fish, the same thing happened. They caught 2 on Saturday as a team and 2 on Sunday, and that's what Dad and I did. And that was their 2 fish on Sunday. And they ended up actually finishing third. So they had some good fish.
Yeah, even though there weren't many.
They were healthy.
They were good
That's
fish.
Lee Johnson on day 2. Chris wasn't able to fish on day 2. Lee was still able to win. He actually had 3 fish, but he just held his big one up for the picture. But so Lee and Chris ended up winning. Chris came home for Father's Day, so the rest of us dads stayed there and fished. But Chris probably did the right thing. But we decided to keep the tournament on that weekend for a bunch of reasons. But anyway, that's Lee Johnson, and he and Chris ended up winning the tournament. And that's Lisa Rutherford. That was day 2 big bass. And that was a really nice. I got a picture of her with her big bass. I didn't get one of Mark Williver. He caught big bass on day 1, and you saw the picture of him and Terry. He was holding it. Was a 5-pounder. That one I think was 3.8 pounds. It was a real nice one for Lisa, and she won big bass on day 2 yesterday. And then that's David and Lisa with their catch yesterday. They ended up catching 4 out of a 5-fish limit, and so they ended up winning second overall.
Second overall. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have one more.
One more, and that's Dad and I with our 2 yesterday. And just a little bit of a note. So on Saturday, I caught the 2 keepers, and we both he caught a big drum, which is obviously not something we want to catch, but he caught one. And we got into some white bass, and for about, 45 minutes, we were catching and I think that most of our teams had that happen to them too, got into white bass. But man, there was some big white bass. So we had a little bit of fun there just catching fish over and over and over again. But that was our day 2. So on day 1, I caught the 2 keepers. My dad didn't catch a keeper. And on day 2, he caught those 2. And I didn't catch one. So I don't know why our luck was that way, but that's what happened.
That worked out. Okay, so we'll go back to the beginning then. And so that's That's where we are.
Yep.
So, all in all, it looked like it was nice weather. It looks like it was a nice tournament.
It was like it was here, I think. It was about 100 degrees both days, so it was really hot. Saturday, there was a slight breeze. It was supposed to be very windy. It really never really happened. There was a wind. There was wind throughout the day, but nothing real major. Yesterday, it was supposed to be even windier, and it was, but it wasn't nearly as bad. And we talk about that every week, Gene, that seems like all the tournaments we have are in wind, and which is our area, southeast New Mexico, well, New Mexico in general, and West Texas. We just get a lot of wind in the spring and summer. But yesterday wasn't. It was hotter. I think it got over 100 yesterday there on the lake. On Saturday, I think it got up to 97 or 98. So it was hot both days, but good fishing, and I think everybody overall enjoyed the lake. And when we wrote the schedule back in January, we scheduled Stanford Lake twice. So you saw that on there. Now, I mean, that's always subject to any of these lakes are subject to change, but we do have it scheduled again as our last tournament of the 2021 season in September before the championship in October.
Okay. Sounds great. And then if people want to join, if they want to learn about the upcoming remaining tournaments, if they just want to come out and fish.
Yeah, you can go to our website, pvbm.club. So it's not .com, it's .club. And I have not updated it this year, but I got as you know, I got the where we're at, our standings done this morning before getting down here. So I'm going to update our website. You're going to see, I mean, you can look at previous years, lots of good pictures, all the results, but I'm going to get all the results from this year on there this week, as well as all of our pictures. So anybody that's interested in seeing those kind of things, they can go to our website, pvbm.club. You can also follow us, and I ask you to follow us on Facebook at Pecos Valley Bassmasters. It's on Facebook. And yeah, you're on the website there, so you can see our schedule. And it's changed already. I mean, that was the original schedule, and you can see we had some splits there starting in July, and made a change. But anyway, that's where you can go find out all about us, pvbm.club. You can also follow us on Facebook. And we're talking about having, and you're going to hear this word a lot this week, Gene. I'm just going to forewarn you because we're going to see each other more this week. And I'm going to ask our audience later about this, but and actually I'll ask now. But my dad decided, one of our guys, Jed Singletary, said, "I see you guys play music and sing," and so we were talking, and turns out he plays some instruments, and he said he's not a singer. But anyway, my dad tells him, "Okay, we're going to have a hootenanny next tournament."
Okay.
And I'm not sure Jed knew what that was, and I'm not sure everybody in the audience will know. So if you know what a hootenanny is, comment here on Facebook on KSVP, and let the world know what a hootenanny is.
I think I know what a hootenanny is.
You probably do.
And I'm glad that when you don't have hootenannies on the lake.
No, but my dad said we're going to have one after we fish, maybe on a Saturday night, maybe have a cookout and a hootenanny.
That'd be good.
And that's a word that my guess is a lot of the younger generation may not know.
Yeah, does she know what a hootenanny is?
I don't know.
So.
You know what a hootenanny is? You do? Okay.
She thinks
well,
so.
We'll see. We'll see what people say.
All right. Joby, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And tomorrow we've got baseball and softball, so it should be fun.
Yep, looking forward to it.
All right.